Greetings, adventurers, and welcome to the flatland fields of southern Scandinavia. It is beneath an endless blue sky such as this that many epic stories, legends even, have unfolded throughout history. These events are inspired by history with a cool visual appeal, a cool authentic design. But today, we move from the realm of the cool authentic into the authentic. Today, we offer you a glimpse of our Viking heritage. Today is history in the making. Our story begins 130 years ago on this unseemingly of fields on the outskirts of the small town of Osted in Denmark. Back then, a farmer, by accident, dug from the industrious soils a mysterious sword to trace all the way back to the Scandinavian Viking Age. Today we know that the entire area of Lejre played an utmost significance back then. And the sword? It can still be seen at the Museum of Lejre.
When we look at Lejre and what makes it special, it's of course the size, the power and the wealth. At Lejre we have found giant king's halls that has been built that is more than 60 meters long. And they tell a story of a dynasty that lasted for more than 500 years. And that's why we call Lejre the cradle of the Danish kingdom. And here at Lejre Museum you can experience the cradle of the Danish kingdom, where we have all the remains of Lejre, and that includes the very famous Osted sword.
So here we stand in front of the original, the Osted sword. As we can see, it's rather corroded after being buried for nearly a millennium. But I wonder, what is significant about this sword when compared to other Viking swords?
What makes the Osted sword special is both the hilt but also the blade. When you first look at the hilt, you can see that it has silver inlaid crossbone ornamentations, which is very rare but also a very, very fine thing to have on your sword. When you then look at the blade itself, you can see that it has been pattern wielded by the blacksmith. And to be able to produce pattern wielded blades demands a very high level of experience but also handcraft. So the Osted sword is a very rare kind of Viking sword, and it's a sword meant for a king.
The Vikings were known for their long halls, and on a larger scale, the king's halls, or mead halls as they were called, based on the drink that was enjoyed there in large quantities. However, if we wish to witness the reconstruction of these mighty structures, we only need to travel a stone throw away from here to see the reenactment with our own eyes. We need to travel to the land of legends.
Lejre Land of Legends is an amazing place. We're sort of a historical park where you can come and you can immerse yourself and try all kinds of hands-on activities. We have reconstructed living environments from several different historic periods, one of them being the Viking Age. One of the activities here in Lejre Land of Legends is our warrior training, an audience favorite. We've been doing it for quite some time. Almost 20 years. And we equip kids and adults, if they want to, with weapons, Viking Age weapons, shields, swords, spears, Dane axes, and we make them fight each other.
Hvis man får en pil i låret, så siger man, ha, jeg synes myggene er store i år. Hvis ikke I hopper, så kommer I til at hinke. Er I klar?
Normally out here, when we have a reconstructed object, we have it in the same materials, meaning that a sword would be made of iron and steel. Of course, when we do warrior training, we do use soft weapons. And we started out with sort of makeshift homemade equipment. If you imagine almost like, say, broom shafts and foam sleeping pads and duct tape, much like every other Lapa, much like the way it all began. But what we want really to do is to have as authentic equipment as possible. We want to have the look to be as close as possible to the real thing, even if it's made in foam and not in iron and steel. But we really would like to have the possibility to have, okay, so this is a weapon where you can clearly recognize a specific find from the Viking Age, and to have it be spot on in terms of authenticity. That's what we would like to.
And this is where Epic Armory enters the story. In close collaboration with archaeologists from the Land of Legends, we are proud to present the Eirik A sword. This sword is one of our best stronghold blades so far. The first one in our range to have the special pattern welded design. It has the features that are one-to-one matched with the find in Osted. The pommel, hilt and crossguard is made from durable PU foam, while the blade is our top quality Stronghold EVA foam, which combines lovely aesthetics without compromising safety. Regarding LARP weapons, we know that the original designs were inspired by the novels of fantasy from the 70s. And there we have designs like a blue lightning katana, or a sword with an enormous ornamentation. But we've also attempted to make more historical correct swords, like a Viking design. And I'm certain that many people would say, this is a Viking sword, but if it's not authentic, then what is it that makes an authentic sword authentic?
So the sword that you have here, it's definitely closer, but there's still some issues. There's the very, very distinct fuller here, there's something with that. There's the shape of the crossguard here. And for me, this authentic one that you guys made for us, it's the first time that I see a pattern welded blade. And of course, not all Viking swords had that, but it's a really, really nice feature. And also, if we look at the crossguard and the pommel, these are made to look as close as possible to one specific find. And then there's the hilt. There's something with the length of the hilt.
Yes, and about that, it is short. And I know many people would say, why is it that short? Because I know if I wanted to use a gauntlet like this, it would be somewhat difficult.
I do have to tell you something here. If you want to do something that is as close to authentic as possible when doing LARP, and we're talking Viking Age, then you won't do that, because we don't have anything like that from the Viking period. It's cool, but it's not Viking. So, but if you want to do something which is as close to the real deal as possible when speaking in terms of LARP and Viking, then the short hilt becomes essential.
The deal with the short hilt of a Viking sword, actually it's all about the handle and the grip of the sword. This is not a hammer, so I don't hold it like a hammer. Actually, I hold it like this. I can control the sword and I put it in my palm like this. When I hold it like this, I can use it to slice, and that's the point of a sword. And I can use it very gently and precisely, and that's actually what the Viking Age is about when it comes to fighting. It's about precision, it's about flexibility, and it's about control, balance. And this is a balanced sword. In the Viking Age, you don't want to use a lot of brute strength. You actually want to save your strength. So this sword will do the work for the warrior when it comes to fighting. This is a soft weapon, and it means that I actually can use it with the people visiting Lejre, Land of Legends, and you can fight in all ages with this sword. Children can fight with their parents and their grandparents. We can fight in Viking formations in the shield wall, and in that way you get an experience of history and the history of the Vikings fighting.
We now know what kind of weapon we are dealing with. But what kind of person would actually own such a weapon?
Well, for sure, this isn't just anybody. someone capable of having something like the Osted sword made with that degree of detail, that degree of quality, both in the blade and in the hilt and decorations. This is at the top of society. We are talking the highest of what you can imagine back then. So imagine this guy coming in full garb, lots of jewelry, everything that he can to show off, and at his belt a sword like this with pattern welt shining in the light, entering one of the great mead halls of the late Iron Age and early Viking period. Imagine him coming in, people looking at him. We're dealing with something that is very close to, if not the king himself.
This is where our story ends, for now. For although we will still find traces of the Vikings in Scandinavia and behold their artifacts in our museums, it is in places such as this Laya Land of Legends and in LARPs worldwide that we ourselves might become Vikings. Stay epic.